To considerations right here in studio, all focused on the State of the Nation address that we anticipate from President William Ruto, which he will deliver to Parliament and the nation this Thursday. So just borrowing from what he mentioned last year during his 2023 State of the Nation address, the economy will play a key part. And that's why we just touched on it a little bit earlier on, highlighting how on paper, we seem to be doing well. Inflation is at 2.7%, down from 9.2%. That was in September 2022. Fuel prices are down 6.7% for diesel, 4.7% for petrol. Exchange rate has improved from 158 Kenya shillings to the US dollar to 127 shillings thereabout. The gains are clearly evident, but on the ground, it seems to be a different narrative. So we'll be trying to take a look at this irony of Kenya's low inflation, but empty pockets. And I'm still joined in studio by the two esteemed guests. Thank you so much for your patience. Diana Gishengo, the Executive Director at the Institute for Social Accountability, and Eric Theuri, the immediate former LSK President. Theuri, what do you make of this irony of Kenya's low inflation but empty pockets? She hinted at it earlier. Inflation is down, but when you talk to people who are supposed to be singing praises due to the inflation being down, they seem to be agitated, and you hinted at it earlier. What do you make of this irony?
I'm not as qualified as Diana to speak about these things.
Yeah.
But naturally, you know, when an economy is doing well, several sectors of the economy are doing well, it is not something that can be hidden. So what kind of an economy are we? We are an economy that largely is driven by a very good percentage of digital investments, agriculture. We are not doing very well on manufacturing. We are doing a little bit well on tourism. So you can then begin to perhaps appreciate why we have this feeling, because for the younger generation, there is a younger segment that is in the digital market that is actually doing very well. But in terms of employment, as a result of other issues that we are facing, key among them being some of the taxes that we have that are leading to companies closing or reducing their workforces as a result of the increases in taxation, especially on the employee benefits and the formal sector. You then have this problem that on one hand, there are certain sections of the economy that are largely driven by the informal sector that obviously do not contribute so much to the tax base that are doing well. And then you have this formal sector that largely contributes to the formal, to the tax base, that are not doing very well as a result of, should I say, loosely over-taxation to compensate for the tax base that is outside.
Yes.
And you can see this in the proposals that have now been brought on board that are making an attempt to try and broaden that tax base with a view of getting the informal on board. And you know, one of the things about the taxation is that it is not only used for purposes of generating income or generating revenue to run government activities and support social economic activity within the country. It can also be used as a means of incentivizing economic growth. And that is an area in which the government has not done very well.
Okay.
And perhaps in this address, we can then begin to see which are the areas that the government is targeting as intended to incentivize growth within the economy with a view of addressing this challenge that we are facing. So when you see a lot of people complaining that we do not have money in our pockets, you can begin to understand why, because if you go to the informal sector, they are probably not complaining as much as. The only problem is that as a result of this shrinking disposable income, it is affecting the other side of the economy.
Okay.
The other challenge that we have seen is that the government has not been spending much. There is a lot of money that is still tied in pending bills. I think you just saw Treasury telling us, was it Monday, that they have now paid counties up to, the only remittance they haven't done is for this month of November. But you have to remember that they were paying from June. So the financial year closed before all the remittances had been been paid to the counties. So what does that mean? It means that for 4 months or for 5 months, the counties have not been able to pay any of the people, its suppliers and whatever, and that has a ripple effect on everyone else. So if government is not paying, yet government is the largest consumer of services, if the employees of government or employees who are in formal employment are facing a reduction in their disposable income, and then it has several knock-on effects that, in my view, then begin to explain why people are feeling they do not have money in the pockets. But also, there is also something else. We have a challenge with regards to the funding of students in the universities. We now have another challenge with regards to the question of provision of healthcare. So what does that mean? It means that those who are in formal employment have to go away, have to dig in much deeper to support those who are in school, those who are having challenges with access to healthcare. And so that income, the disposable income that is shrinking, is even being subjected to further hits from areas where they knew or had in their planning, you knew that HELB will take care of something. Now it is not, so you have to step in. You knew that NHIF was going to take care of something. Now it is not, so you have to step in. So all those things have a ripple effect, and I think that what the task that the president then has is to try and to assure the country that he is in touch with the heartbeat of what is happening, and that he has not only the rhetoric, but he also has concrete action plans, and those plans will be evaluated on the basis of how effective they have been, but also will be evaluated on the basis of how have they performed in their previous promises for people to believe, or for people to have a certain level of predictability that these plans would then be implemented.
Interesting. As we come to you, Diana, we just want to hear from President William Ruto what he had to say on an issue that's close to his heart, the Hustler Fund, which is set to hit 2 years on the 30th of November. It was meant to give Kenyans access to affordable credit, a financial inclusion fund of sorts. Let's listen in to what he had to say on the public's response to this fund.
The public response to the Hustler Fund has exceeded most initial projections and surprised even the most hardened skeptics. By the end of last month, the fund had disbursed Kenya shillings 36.6 billion, and in savings, 2.3 billion.